All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to Marshall Time. This episode right here is a special one. We got our first guest on the show. We plan to have many more guests in the future, but this one is somebody that I thought would be great for the show. A great friend of mine. I'm gonna set the background for y'all how I met him actually. This
Yeah,
was during peak COVID, summer of
right.
2020. All the gyms is closed. You know, I'm an LA fitness guy. All the gyms is closed. Some of the parks, the rims is down. But a local park out Delaware, Newark, Bay Area, Glasgow Park, their courts were still up, luckily at the time. So it's a summer morning, weekday. I'm off work or whatever. I pull up to the park just to get some shots up, and I see one of my old coaches, Coach Smith. People that know him call him Smitty. I seen him out there training people, working people out. I'm like, what's going on? So I go over there. I say, hey, coach, can I get some working with y'all? He was like, yeah, if you're going to work hard. I said, yeah, you know that. Because he coached me when I was in middle school, so he already know me. So, and that's where I met Tyrell.
Yeah,
Little did
right.
I know, I'm working out with an overseas professional ball player, mad skilled, mad talented. And then ever since then, we've just been locked in. He comes home during the summers. I work out with him and Smitty and a few other guys. And it's always lit, always fun, get some good running. So,
Right.
welcome to the show, bro. Appreciate having you on.
Appreciate y'all having me. First guest. That's big time.
Yeah, it's
Appreciate
big,
y'all
it's
having
big,
me.
it's dope, it's dope.
Nah,
But
man, we definitely appreciate it. You
yeah,
went to Glasgow High School, right?
Yeah. I went to Glasgow. My first 3 years, I went to Glasgow, and then last year I ended up transferring to Chester High.
Chester, yeah, Chester. Very good program. So I went to Christiana, Josh went to Hyson, you went to Glasgow. So three
Yeah,
different,
yeah,
yeah,
right,
little rivalry going on
right,
with
right, right.
that. That's what's up, though, man.
so yeah. So first question I got for you though, bro. I never asked you this myself. How did basketball start for you? How did it start? When did it start and how did it start? How did it come about?
Bro, like honestly, my earliest memories of me as a child was on the court. So I'll say 3, 4 years old. I was on the court. I grew up in Chester. And yeah, I was on the court, 7th Street. Everybody, you grow up in Chester, you go to 7th Street when you start. And yeah, like my earliest memories as a child was on the court, 7th Street. And that's pretty much how it started. Ball my hands since I was like 4, I would say.
Right, right.
Tyrell, I remember, just growing up in that Delaware, Philly, Jersey area, about the programs around that area. And Chester
Right.
High was always a big program. Just explain, the basketball culture in Chester and in Delaware too, for those who may not be familiar, since you have that experience of being a
Yeah,
part of both.
yeah. Yeah, I'll say the basketball culture, I was fortunate enough to grow up in Chester and then move to Delaware. And the culture is crazy. Like growing up in Chester, that's what you do. You play basketball. And then I moved to Delaware as well, and that's what people do. Like you go hoop, you go free time, you go hoop, LA Fitness, all that. So I would say like the culture is crazy, and I was lucky enough to play for a program in Delaware and a program in Chester.
So how did it go? Like, you get to high school and you were at Glasgow for 3 years.
Yeah.
What made you kind of, want to leave to go to Chester your senior year?
Real man, in my junior year, that's when I like kind of I was like pretty average my first 2 years. My junior year, that's when I really kind of like started pushing that needle and started to separate myself. And I was thinking just long term. Like I didn't need to go to Chester for recruiting. I was already committed to D1 school. I didn't need it at all. Um, the thing about it is I wanted to advance though. So and I'm 6'7". So in Delaware I'm like back to the basket center. I went down to Chester and I'm on a wing. So I think that just going there and being around guys my size and playing with guys my size helped me advance my basketball career just to add things to my skill set until I was 17, I was like back to the basket, hook shot type of guy. And then
I could
I got
definitely attest to that.
yeah,
When you
right,
in
right.
Delaware and you a big
Yeah.
man, they throwing you
They
down
You
put
know
you
how it is,
no
yeah.
matter
if
what.
you
It's
above
good.
five, if you above
That's what I'm
5'10",
saying.
you in the post.
You
I
in the
will
paint.
say
I
it's
was in
starting
the
to
paint.
change.
So,
It's starting to change a little bit, and I'm
It's
I'm
starting to
happy.
change now.
It's starting to change just a little bit. But when we were playing,
Yeah.
the
if
post.
you was you
That's how it was
down
when
there,
I
it
was in high
doesn't
school.
matter. You down there.
You in that
And
post. So yeah.
I think there's a balance, right? I think nowadays it's positionless basketball. When I was in high school, it was still like set positions, right? You
Yeah,
playing the
yeah,
one, you
just
playing the two. But
position. Right.
now it's like everybody has to be able to handle and shoot it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
just you being a part of the game in high school, at the college level, and the pro level, how have you seen it evolve to that, from set positions to now guys being positionless? And do you feel like that's hurting the game, or is it a positive for the game today?
Well, I can attest for myself, and I think I was growing up right in the age where it was starting to transition. So fortunately enough for me, I had that back to the basket game, you know. So that was what I was my majority of my life until I got to my senior year of high school. So I was fortunate enough to have that part of my game, and then I was able to expand. I think nowadays it's going the opposite way. You're going from outside in, and you're 6'7", and you don't take layups. You know, you see that a lot now. But I was fortunate enough that I was able to get both sides of that era. You know, positionless and having your set position. And I think it helps the game. I think it helps the game. I think guys are it's harder to guard, it's harder to scout when you do more than one thing. But I think it's a balance, though. I think you talked about it a bit too. It's a balance. You got to be able to do multiple things on the court to be successful anywhere you go, any level.
Right.
Right. That's dope. Oh, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Best player you played against in high school?
In high school,
We can do it two ways, since Delaware and Chester. Let's split it up. Who's the best player in Delaware you played against, and during your Chester career, who's the best player you played against?
Okay, Delaware. Dang, that's a lot, man. I do top three for Delaware.
Top three.
Number one, AJ English for sure, without a question. Without a question.
Killer bucket to this day.
His dad played in the NBA way back in the day too. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Without a question.
AJ's overseas now.
Yeah.
Certified bucket. Yeah, without a question. I go two. I don't know if y'all know, he went to Delcast when I was around. Terrence Bob Jones. They called him T-Bob.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, him. And then a guy from Newark, Andre Horn.
Okay.
Super tough. As far as Chester, man, it's too many. I can't even put one.
It's a lot.
It's too many. We like every night in, night out, you playing against like a D1 guy or 2-3 D1 guys. Yeah, I can't even put a name on Chester.
Nah, that you could probably go all day.
Well, we'd be all night.
All right, so I do want to ask you, because you did go to Stony Brook for college, D1 school.
Yeah.
And you actually had the opportunity to play in March Madness. So I want to talk about, it's March right now. It's the perfect time. I want to talk about your experience playing in March Madness and just how was it for you as a player during that time?
Yeah, bro, I really can't put it into words. First and foremost, we were the first school in our program's history to go to the tournament.
Wow.
Division I. So just having that history and having that cemented, I can go back to Stony Brook right now, and you're a legend over there because you were that team that did it, first team that did it, and still to this day, still the first team, only team that's gone. As far as the overall experience being there, you're talking about walking into the arena, your practice, you got thousands of fans there for your practice. That's just for practice. And you talk about like you see how you watch it, you see how intense it is to watch. To be there in that atmosphere is even crazier. You got 20,000 people watching, and then you got however many people are tuning in and tweeting about you. It's just crazy. And then on top of that, we played Kentucky. Won the primetime game at, I think it was 9:20 p.m. So all those factors, it was crazy experience to play.
Who was on that Kentucky team?
Who was on that Kentucky team? I know they were loaded.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Isaiah Briscoe.
Oh yeah.
Ali Ulis, Jamal Murray, Alex Poitras, Scala Bissiere, Derek Willis. I think every one of those guys has touched the NBA. So that's like 6 NBA guys. And they were on board.
Sure.
That's
crazy roster.
So when you're watching March Madness, do you find yourself rooting for the mid-majors? And how do you feel about seeing these upsets? Like as a former Stony Brook player, seeing teams from, your conference or, from the mid-majors, do you find yourself rooting for those guys?
Yeah, always. I'm always rooting for the underdog, and I love to see. And I think in recent years, there's been more upsets, and I think it's just starting to show that the gap between the mid and high major levels, especially with the new transfer rules, the
Mhm.
gap is like getting very, very slim. You see mid-major schools beat high major schools all the time. And then especially in the tournament whereas one game means everything. A lot of these mid-major guys are used to that pressure because in our conference tournaments, you have to win the conference tournament to go to the tournament. So I think we're more comfortable in that situation, and I think that's why you see a lot more upsets.
You mentioned the gap from the mid majors to like the blue bloods, like the Kentuckys, the North Carolinas, the Kansas, the Dukes of the world. Like what is that gap player to player wise, would you say? And what would be the difference? Is it just size? Is it more athletic? Like what's the biggest difference, would you say?
Yeah, I would be a fool to say it's not a difference. I would think like for me, I was playing a power forward at 6'7", in the mid major, and for a mid major that's fine. But if you go to Kentucky, Kansas, they're 6'10" playing a four and can do everything. So I would say like the height and the athleticism is definitely next tier in the blue bloods in the high major. But when it comes down to one game, anything can happen, of course.
So at your time at Stony Brook, how do you feel like it got you ready, the collegiate game? Because I see a lot of times, especially nowadays, a lot of players, they're skipping college. They're going to play overseas, or they're going to the G League or overtime elite even. They're going to all these different avenues instead of just going the traditional route to college. And that may be fine for some people, but what was your experience in college, just as far as like player development and you getting better as a player? How do you think that helped you?
I think it really got me on a schedule. So you talked about us coming home every summer and working. You see every morning, 5 a.m. We in the
Mhm.
gym, and then it really got me on the schedule. Like, okay, this is the priority. 5 a.m. You get your workout up, you got your workout in, and then you might go back later and get some shots up or whatever, play pickup. But it really shows your priorities. And I think the good thing about college is you get held accountable, um, and you start to gain that responsibility for yourself and for others. For example, if I'm coming to a workout at 5 and Smitty's going to be there, I'm making sure that I'm there. And if
Right.
I'm not gonna be there, I'm telling him a day or 2 days in advance, I'm not going to be there this day. So I think that accountability is one thing college really taught me. And yeah, I wouldn't change that experience for anything.
That adjustment, Tyrell, from the college level to the pro level, when did that dream become reality? And what was that process like transitioning and getting the opportunity to go overseas?
Yeah, I was fortunate. I was fortunate in a lot of ways, mainly because I had a choice of agents I could have picked from after my senior year. So I had my agent meetings after my year just finished up, and yeah, I had a choice. So I was fortunate. I know a lot of guys sometimes have to struggle to get somebody to believe in them, but I was fortunate to have a few agents already believe in me. Some with deals on the table already. So process was pretty easy and straightforward for me. Maybe like a month after my senior season finished up, I signed with an agent, and then maybe a couple weeks later, I had a deal, and I was on my way. So yeah, I was fortunate in that. I know it's not the case for everybody, but I realized how fortunate I am to have that belief in me, and it's been working out so far.
So speaking of the overseas game, growing up, every boy's dream is like, oh, I want to go to the NBA and play in the NBA, but it's only a certain amount of guys that actually make it to the NBA. But overseas, I feel like, especially more in the recent years, has become like a popular avenue, and it's like a dream for a lot of people that can be attainable if
Yeah.
you have the skill and the athleticism, the discipline. But how do you think is different between the overseas game and like the NBA game that you watch on TV and even the high level college? What do you think the difference is in the play style?
Yeah, I think overseas is more about skill level. I would say skill is very important here. And of course, other than like the rule changes, there's some rule changes between like the college game and NBA game to overseas. I would say mainly that in the NBA and overseas, there's no 3 seconds on defense. So you see some guys saying it's way harder to score in Europe than the NBA. I haven't played in the NBA, so I can't attest to that, but I can see what they mean because there's no 3 seconds, and you can pack the paint. So if you got a team full of non-shooters, you're gonna figure it out because you can just pack the paint. You can't do that in the NBA. You got to help. You can't be in the paint. And then yeah, overall skill level. I think a lot of players here are skilled. I feel like skill development. I don't know if it would be better than ours, but I think that they focus on the fundamentals. I would say from early on, so you can just simple things like being able to dribble with both hands, pass with both hands. I've seen that in the young guys over here already. So yeah, but I would say the main difference is that paint, the 3 seconds in the paint. That's a factor.
I can definitely agree with the skill thing just because I see it in the international players that come over here, like the Jokic's,
Yeah,
Sabonis,
yeah,
just big men that are so skilled. They can pass better than some of these guards out here. And they're not the most athletic, they're not flashy, but when it comes to like just being skilled
right.
and being able to do everything on the court, they have it down packed. Like Luca, he's not athletic at all, but he's giving you 30 a night just being skilled. It's crazy. And it's fun to watch.
Talk about just
Yeah, super skilled though.
off the court. What's that experience been like for you? A different country, away from family and friends. Just what's that adjustment been like for you now after having a couple of years under your belt?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it really just depends on your outlook, for real, for real. Like it can be tough for a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys who have been over here and it's been tough because, like you said, the adjustment, no family. You might have friends, but not your boys from back home. Time differences, so it can be tough. And language barrier, of course. Yeah, it can be tough, but got to make the most of it. So me personally, I do a lot of traveling. Any chance I can go, any chance I get to travel, I go somewhere, go do something, and that keeps you like level headed. That gets your mind free. I've seen a lot of times also guys come over here and they only focus on basketball. I say that's not the way to go because if you're having a bad stretch in basketball and that's the only thing you're focused on, that's the only thing you want to think about. You got to find some way to get your mind away from it because this is our job at the end of the day. But you got to find a way to get your mind away from it, or else you're gonna be miserable.
With overseas, guys always wonder, obviously, the highest level is the NBA, right? You have that competitive nature. How do you balance, that competitive desire to want to compete against the best, right? But also focusing on where you're at now, being grateful and being blessed for the opportunity to still play ball for a living that most would really want to do. How do you balance those two perspectives?
Yeah. I think earlier I'm in my 5th year overseas, and I think earlier in my career I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my overseas year. I'm gonna try to get on G League or try to get some workouts. But I realized that my dream is already accomplished. Like you said, I'm getting paid to play basketball. I'm getting paid to travel. My family even get to experience another country or multiple countries because we've traveled a lot of places together. So I realized that my goal has kind of shifted, and I went from like going to the highest level I can go to being happy and taking care of my family and being able to just get paid and have fun. Because a lot of guys sacrifice like a lot of things, and then the grass is not always greener everywhere else you go. And I think for me, and it was kind of my year in Germany that I realized this that I'm gonna value my happiness and my career over everything.
I just gotta say, man, you killing it over there too. You've been averaging like 20 points per season, 10, 11 boards. You getting to it. And I
Yeah,
just
I'm
want to
trying,
say
bro.
it's a testament to the work that you put in. The work in the summer that I see you do. What do you think is like the biggest takeaway from the work in the summer, like and it translates to the game? What's the biggest thing that you work on in the summer that really helps you out when you go to play during the season?
Yeah, I think as you know, because we've been at it for like 3 summers now, we get a lot of shots up. We get a lot of shots up, and we get a lot of shots up the right way. When I say the right way, I mean every shot is perfect. We practice perfect release, perfect form, perfect footwork, and we shoot while we're tired. And I think those are 2 key factors to translate into in the game. And then, like we do our conditioning too. So I think those are 2 things that help me the most every time. So I feel like every time I come home for the summer, even if it was last summer, I was only home for a month. I feel like I come back over here, I'm ready to go right away. I'm gonna start a training camp.
Nah, that's fact. Those Smitties,
Right.
33, running on the hill. Listen, I was out of shape coming in the last summer. And Smitty looking at me like, you ain't been doing that for the past months, have you? I was like, nope, because he can tell. But
Yeah,
like you
right,
said,
right.
that 1 month got me
It
right.
changed everything.
And I
Yeah,
look
it changed
forward to
everything.
it. Like I'm not playing overseas or anything, but I just like it for the workout. And I just love the game of basketball. So you know what I mean? It's
Right.
just always fun to do. And it definitely gets you right. So I can
That's a
attest to
fact.
that.
Yeah, right, right.
I don't think people understand the level of like dedication that it takes. Like we see the NBA guys working out, but even beyond that, just to play at a professional level, just the time and dedication, even to make a college team, right? The level of dedication. And so for those who aren't aware, because like the last guy on the NBA bench can give you 50, right? Even overseas guys can give you like I see highlights of overseas guys that can just score buckets like none others. Like, man, they should be in the league.
Right,
For those who don't understand, just give perspective on how talented and skilled and maybe has your perspective shifted. You know, being a younger guy, you know, we always thought, oh, the best guys are in the league. The overseas
yeah.
guys are just a notch below. But has there been a moment where you're like, yo, these guys are for real? And just describe to people who don't understand the skill level of these guys everywhere to be able to reach that level, period.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, I would say first and foremost that if you're over here for a reason. I've played against guys 5'7", even over here and dropping 30 a night. So everybody's talented, and it doesn't even matter where you come from. When you're over here, you're over here. You know, D1, D2. I've seen some of the most talented guys that I played against, not even from Division I universities. So the talent is crazy, and I feel like you can pick up most overseas guys and take them to a regular LA Fitness run, and they're going to be like LeBron out there. A lot of guys, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the talent is crazy, and like I said, it doesn't matter if you went D1, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO. If you're over here for a reason, and that should be respected in itself.
What's the next step for you as far as just you've been in Germany, correct? So is that the foreseeable home for you, or is there change on the horizon? Like what's that looking like?
So first, I got to clear it up. I'm in Luxembourg because people are gonna be mad at me. Luxembourg is like its own country. They're gonna be mad at me.
Okay, Luxembourg.
Luxembourg is its own country and it's right next to Germany. And yeah, they're gonna be mad at me. I had to, my fault, bro.
You're in Luxembourg. Let's get it right.
But
I don't
yeah,
want the
yeah.
money.
Honestly, over here in Luxembourg, I plan to stay. I already speak speaking French, and I'm already learning their language, Luxembourgish. And yeah, I'm making my way over here. I'm actually going to try to get my passport over here also. So yeah, I think I'm making my way. I think I found some place where I'm comfortable. I like the basketball here. I like the people here, and it's like very accessible for my family. And then here you can travel. I can be in France in 20 minutes. I can be in Germany in 20 minutes. I can drive an hour, go to Belgium. Like it could be anywhere. So just all the things considered. Yeah, I think this might be a spot for me for
If I
career.
would have told you that a decade ago, you would be in Luxembourg. That would be your home for a little bit. Like, what would you even be thinking?
I would have asked, what is Luxembourg? Where is that? Firstly. But yeah, that mind blowing. I wouldn't even believe you.
And that's the thing, like that's kind of what I want you to tell, like the younger viewers watching this, whether it's a high school kid, a kid that's in college, JUCO, even if a middle school kid is up watching this, like what do you want to tell them? Like, what's your biggest tip to them about making it professional, even if it's not the league? Because I know everybody thinks they're going to the league when they're young, but
Yeah,
it
right,
doesn't
right,
always
right.
pan out that way. What's your biggest tip to them?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, take care of school because you're not getting anywhere without the school. Got to take care of school to get into college. And I would also say you got to be consistent with your work. If you're not consistent with your work, nobody's gonna take you serious. You can't take your career serious if you're not consistent with your work. And have your mentals. You know how Smitty always preaches to us. Mentals. The game is 80% mental, and I can attest for that, man. If your mentals aren't right, if you're not locked in mentally, um, nothing else matters. You won't be successful with this game. So you got to figure out how to be mentally there in the mind, and then mentally strong. Make yourself mentally strong to go through struggles. Because trust me, over here I can attest to it. Over here you're gonna have struggles. Everywhere you're gonna have struggles. I have had struggles every point in my career. Had a barrier that I had to hop over. You know, high school, college, everything. I was coming off the bench. I barely played my first 2 years in college. So I mean, it's hurdles. It's gonna be hurdles everywhere. Just gotta be mentally strong and be able to get through stuff.
Yeah, I think just hearing you, speak about finding a place where you feel comfortable in. And the biggest thing I noticed, the grass isn't always greener, right? I think a lot of people, and this can be for any profession, right? Feel like I need to jump to the next spot because I feel like this is, more money or more exposure or what have you. But to find that goes along with the mental piece, right? Mentally being focused and in tune with what you need. Because what we want and what we need changes over the years, right? What you thought you wanted as a high schooler, you wanted to get to the league, but now you're in Luxembourg and you found some fulfillment, right? And so I think a lot of young people can take a lot from your story.
Appreciate it for sure.
So I know that you're still in your prime, man. You're still in, you're still in your 20s. You're still getting to it, dropping buckets over there. But what do you think life's gonna look like for you after basketball? What do you want to do? What do you have plans to do? What's the future looking like for you?
It's a great question. Another thing that I've been doing over here is I've been getting some work too. Like I'm very immersed in the culture here. So I have an IT degree. So I've been kind of tossing and turning with some of the ideas because I coach here also. I coach some youth teams. Every year I've been over here, I coach some youth teams. And I thought about diving into this more full time after I'm done. Bottom line is I have a few different options I can go towards. But yeah, I've thought about being a coach, but I feel like it's just hard to be on the sidelines and not be able to get into the action. Yeah. So yeah, it's something still undecided. Something still undecided, I would say. But yeah, the thought of being a coach is up there.
You got options though, man. Like
options though, yeah.
You got the college education, you got the basketball background. I think that's the beautiful thing, and it's just wild how the game of more than any other sport, the game of basketball can take you so far, so many avenues, so many opportunities, right? And so, just speak to that piece as far as just how does it feel to realize how far a basketball is taking you, from Chester and Delaware to now you're traveling all over the world. Just how amazing has that been for you?
Yeah, it's to the point where like it's blessing me and it's blessing my family, So just to think that I've come this far with basketball, it's crazy, and it's to the point where if a kid tells me they want to work out, or if a kid wants to work out with me, I won't charge anything. I've never charged a kid for a basketball workout, and that's my way to repay the game. That's giving me so much.
Yeah, that's dope. One more question I got before we start to wrap it up. You talked about being from Chester, and it's been like a long lineage of great talented players. Jameer Nelson, Tyreek Evans, Rondé Hollis, even some players that may have not made it to the NBA, but they're overseas. What does that just mean? Like coming from Chester, what does it mean? Like that pedigree? How do you look back on that and just like you're like, wow, I'm amongst that list of names that somebody that made it out of Chester and just made it big. Is it free?
It's a lot of greats that come from Chester, and yeah, I'm just proud to be even with those names, and so many more guys that haven't even made it to the league or even overseas that were just good in high school. But it's a lot of talent that comes there, and I'm just glad to be, noticed and recognized as one of the guys that made it out.
And one final question, just speaking more of Chester and the program, is what makes that program so successful? And they've been able to have success like for years. Like when I was in high school, way back, right? I just remember seeing some of their games on TV, right? And just knowing them, like it's been going on for a long time, like in the 80s. Like it's been a while. So like, what is it about basketball in that city? Like you guys come out the crib playing it, I feel like
court.
Yeah.
I think really two things. I think because as you know, Chester is a public school, so it's only kids from Chester, and I think that just goes to the talent that Chester has, and it goes to like all the things that the community does for the youth in basketball. As soon as you get out the womb, you're in a basketball league. You're in Chester Biddy, you're on 7th Street, so you're playing basketball. By the time you get to college, you've been playing basketball 10, 11 years already. So I think it can attest to that. And then when I actually got to Chester High, it's the work that we put in. We're practicing in the preseason. We're practicing 3 hours, doing conditioning, going to the track. So I think as well as the work that's being put in. and us pushing each other, and the coaches pushing us too. I think that in Chester you have guys, you have anytime 4 or 5 guys who can play D1, and nobody's like no egos, nothing like that. Everybody just wants to win. And I think yeah, when I got there, I was amazed at the work that's being put in. I mean, I've been a part of some good programs that put in a lot of work, but it's kind of next level there. And then the work met the talent. So I think that's what happens. The work meets the talent.
Sure. Well, before we get up out of here, man, I just want to say that, keep putting that work in. I'm super proud of you. You still killing it. Look forward to you coming home this summer so we get some more work in. My brother got to get down here so we can all run together, man, because my brother got some game too. He, early on, that's who put the ball in my hands. So
I can still play a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I graduated Christiana High years ago, but I'm still in my prime. I'm still in shape. So I would love to test my skills against the pro.
No doubt, no doubt. In July, I'll be back in July. We
okay, say less. We might have to get it in, man. But I appreciate you taking the time out, man. It's good to see you doing your thing out there, and you seem to be focused and locked in, man. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. Like the whole world is opened up for you, man. So I love to see it, man. I love to see it.
Before we go, I got a question for y'all.
Yeah.
When y'all making a trip down here?
Hey, listen, I got my passport.
It's nothing for me to get my passport.
Get your passport.
It's nothing.
Yeah, make the trip, man. I'll take care of y'all out here.
I'm down. Real talk. I will. I'm trying to travel more too, actually. So I mean, I got my passport. I did a trip to Toronto last summer. I got, I want to do some more traveling. I want to do some more traveling.
Yeah, y'all get down here. I'll take care of y'all. No doubt. No doubt.
Can we get a tryout for the team or what's up?
Y'all can come work out. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, I can be a veteran presence.
Tell them I've been working with you for 2 straight summers and I'll jump in ready. So
if y'all need a veteran presence to get y'all over the hump, I can be a good locker room veteran presence.
All I need is a 10-day. That's all I need. They don't want me after 10. I live with it.
Give me a nice check, overseas check. All I need is good. That's all I need is 1 year. 1 year.
Y'all get down here. We see we can work out. We see we can work out.
Team manager, something.
Right. We see we can work something out.
That's all right, y'all. That was our first interview. Tyrell Sturdivant, Chester's finest, pulling it down in Luxembourg, not Germany.
Luxembourg.
Gotta get it right.
Don't get on him, Luxembourg.
Yeah, don't get on me, people. I'm correcting them.
We gotta get it right. So he's holding it down. Y'all can go shout your social media so they can follow you, man. They gotta see more than the NBA. They gotta see some real hoops.
Yeah, go follow me on Instagram, no days off _rel. I do YouTube sometimes, same username, and yeah, check me out.
All right, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Catch us next time. We'll have Rel back on down the line. He's going to keep getting these buckets, so he'll be here.
Sure.
No doubt.
All right, appreciate y'all.
I appreciate you, bro.